Wendy Bauman, and I am President and Chief Visionary Officer of the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation, better known as WWBIC. And we're so thrilled today for the month of May to have Burn Pit BBQ as our special guest cooking demonstration, and to hear from the owner, Greg Fisher, really about his life a little bit personally, about his entrepreneurial journey and how WWBIC and others assisted that. And then really to have some rubs, have some marination, have some sauce, and let's see how we can do some barbecuing. You know, we know in Wisconsin, for Wisconsinites, we can never be ready enough for spring and barbecue season. So it really fits in May, getting us off to a great start with an excellent barbecue seasoning and a great entrepreneurial story as we begin to get out there with our grills together, family, at home, at events, and the like. So again, this series talks a little bit about individuals and, you know, did they have a long-standing goal and dream of starting a business, or did they sort of just happenstance sometimes into starting a business? And we really want to hear again about how business sources assisted them. And then we want to get some great recipes and some great ideas for cooking to have fun. And then perhaps leave with some words of wisdom also from our entrepreneurs to others who are in the food and beverage business, who are thinking about starting that business, or who are in business right now and maybe just want some other ideas, some words of encouragement from another entrepreneur and another business owner. So today we have Greg Fisher. Thank you so much for taking the time. Love the t-shirt. And I know I looked at your website and you have some really, really great insignia items that we can share later and we'll promote, because that's sort of fun too, barbecue and the like. Burn Pit BBQ. We also know, Greg, that you've had service to our nation and you're a veteran. So we'd like you to start by just telling us a little bit about you personally before we even go into the entrepreneurship area. So Greg?
Yeah, sure. No, that sounds great. And Wendy, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on here to share a little bit more about Burn Pit BBQ and our journey. But, you know, as you'd mentioned, out of high school, I was a senior when 9/11 happened, and I started to think about what to do after that. And I joined the Marine Corps in 2002. And I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps and was with 1st Battalion, 7th Marines out of 29 Palms, California. And from there, after 3 combat deployments to Iraq, I decided to get out and come back home to Wisconsin. And from there, I enrolled at the University of Wisconsin Parkside and graduated in 2010 with a degree in business and finance, and started my corporate journey after that.
Okay. So going back to maybe when you were younger or what have you, I mean, did you always have an idea of starting your own business?
I would say no. I think growing up, maybe I was a little bit more conservative and wanted to go down that route of, you know, just going to school and then starting a stable career with a good organization. So no, I don't think as a kid, I don't think I really thought about, you know, starting my own business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of our guest speakers before, Sid Lally from Antigua Latin Cafe and a few others, you know, it's their memories of their father or mother owning a business and sort of being involved in that. So we see that. But again, different journeys, different ways, and it's all about a journey. So not necessarily does someone have to grow up with this idea of I want to run my own business. It also can just happen. And it seems to me that to some degree, tell us about this just happening in August, I believe, of 2020, less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Global health crisis, global economic crisis, in the United States, certainly a social justice crisis. And you, Greg, decided to start a barbecue business. So tell us about that. How did that happen?
Yeah. No, it was kind of a shock to a lot of people I know to leave my organization that I'd been with for 10 years to do this. And I'd always been grilling and barbecuing on the side, always had a passion for it, and had some side businesses as I was navigating my corporate career. But no, just something during the pandemic told me that, you know, now's the time to take a chance and see if you can maybe build a business out of some of the things that you've been doing. And in July, I had that conversation with my spouse, and we decided that, let's try this thing out and jump in. So, you know, August of 2020, I left my career and I started Burn Pit BBQ with a friend.
Wonderful. So you did talk to your wife about it. She was in, which is really good, because sometimes we find out with entrepreneurs that sometimes the partner or spouse is not so much in. That always gets sticky, especially if things don't go really, really well in the business. So it's great that she's in. Tell us maybe a little bit about your friend. I mean, why you decided to do it with someone else.
Yeah. Well, he's one of his name is Ben Kreppel, and we met at University of Wisconsin Parkside. We were going to school together. We both played on the men's soccer team there, and we just kind of hit it off as good friends. And he also is a big griller and barbecuer, so I knew that if I wanted to go into this business, I'd probably need some people to work with and help me out as well. So I think I told him over a round of golf one day, like, hey, I'm quitting my job to start this business. You want to go in with me? And thankfully he said yes. So he didn't quit his job yet, but we're working together on this thing, and hopefully we can have him be able to join me full time soon.
Good. Okay, good. Yeah, and actually that's sort of a strategy we often say at WWBIC too, that, maybe you do keep that job as long as you can financially to keep the cash flow going and to support going and really just the money keeping coming in until you can put maybe 1 foot in there and then maybe 2 feet in there. So that's good. But you went all in. You quit and you're all in.
I did. Yeah.
Good. So how's it going so far? Tell us a little bit about the entrepreneurial journey. So you're at, if I may say, if you want to share the name of the corporation you were at, and you decide to start this business, did you go to a bank? Did you go to research a business plan? Tell us now really specifically on the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. First started with those honest conversations with my spouse about how I was feeling about my job and, what I was thinking about doing. So that's where it all started. But once I made the shift in my mind that I was going to leave and I was going to pursue this, I started reaching out to people to kind of form a team. Dan Newberry at VBOC, the Veteran Business Outreach Center, was one of those people. And I know they're affiliated with WWBIC. Right. So, from there, we started to develop a business plan. And Dan actually helped me out with my name and the name of the business, and then also the logo and stuff like that. So very involved from the beginning. But then also, I'd make sure my finances were in order. Okay. So, we were bootstrapping this thing, so we weren't going to look for loans or so to speak. And we had to make sure that, first my house would be in order finally, and then I'd be able to put some money towards the business. So I have a financial planner that I worked with to help with that. And then also I have a family and young boys, and healthcare is obviously a concern. So I reached out to another friend that happened to be a healthcare advisor on the insurance side, and got that piece in place too, to say, okay, I can really afford healthcare and going on this and give myself some time to try this thing out. So that was really where it started, was kind of putting more pieces to the puzzle together before I fully launched into the business.
Okay. And so you did start with sort of a written formal business plan?
Yeah, and the VBOC actually helped with that, providing a template, providing guidance, and also feedback on it.
Good. Well, I'm going to do a quick commercial for VBOC. So the Veteran Business Outreach Center is a national program. There's 21 Veteran Business Outreach Centers in the United States. The one that, again, Greg went to is hosted by the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. We have 2 great directors, both veterans, Dr. Makiba Butler and then Dan Newberry. And Dan specifically embraces the state of Wisconsin and part of Minnesota, because it is a tri-state area we embrace. And then Dr. Butler handles Illinois and also shares Minnesota. And it's sort of anything related to entrepreneurship for veterans or for military connected families. So for our viewing audience, if you're a veteran, military connected family, you can contact WWBIC, you can contact the Veteran Business Outreach Center in Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, and we can assist from business planning to looking at access to responsible capital and loans to anything connected around, again, business ownership and entrepreneurship. Now, Greg, did you need a business loan, or you were able to totally bootstrap, you and your partner, without a business loan?
Yeah, we started the business without a business loan. Okay. We're financing it ourselves right now.
Okay. And then again, at a point, if it grows so much and you need to, you would look at opportunities for such.
Yes. Yeah. As soon as we look to start scaling more than we are right now, we'll probably have to do that piece. Right. We'll have to look at other finance options, but as of right now, we're doing well with just financing ourselves.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's a great way to start if you can. Generally, or sometimes too, then with growth, you really do need to look at a financing structure, but there's different financing needs along the way. Some is that initial bootstrap, and then some is, oh my gosh, we really got growth. I'm almost doing contract financing now on some of these orders, which is wonderful. And again, probably, a little bit more in the area of financial institutions being more interested in such, because you can prove the orders and so on. Still a startup. It's hard to get financing and so on. But again, the other piece I just want to talk about a little bit too, I really appreciate you sharing, is that you got your personal financial household in order. Anything else you can share with us about that?
Well, I mean, having as little debt as possible on the personal side helps, and also having a nest egg to lean back on. So, planning those things out in advance helps. And then having those conversations, if you have a spouse or significant other, saying, hey, these are our guidelines. And if we go off the guidelines a little bit, then I have to be willing to go find another job or put in work. So, that's kind of where we started, and where we still have those conversations probably on a monthly basis.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's so healthy that way. And it is guidelines. And again, it's sort of the words on the business plan, again, and the financials on the business plan, but then making that also personal. Now, the formal company, corporation with your partner, is it a LLC? Is it a formal partnership? How did you actually form it then with a partner?
Yeah, so we formatted as an LLC, so a limited liability corporation. Yep.
Good, excellent. Okay, so now let's move on a little bit to food. So both you and your partner love barbecue, feel that you're good at barbecue. I heard rub, I heard, what did I hear? Seasoning, I heard sauce. So tell me, first of all, what's the difference between rub, seasoning, sauce? And let's start going into learning a little bit about your actual product. I see it there, and I know you're going to do some demo for us next too, so we can move right into that.
Yeah, no, those are great questions. So we'll start with the barbecue rub. The basic rubs traditionally are for your like low and slow type of meats, the heartier beefs, the porks, and those are things, as it says in it, it's a rub. It's something that you rub onto the meat or the food to season it beforehand. Now, a seasoning, and the traditional seasoning, is something maybe you put on afterwards. So maybe it's already cooked and you use it to season your food a little bit more. You could obviously put those on beforehand too, just a little bit different in terminology. And then seasonings tend to be a little bit more all-purpose, where you can use it on different types of foods and for different types of purposes. A rub is traditionally probably used primarily for barbecuing, low and slow. And then the sauce is, things that you can either put and marinate before. So if you're marinating something beforehand, you can use a sauce to do that as well. We have a hot sauce that you could probably use as a marinade for some stuff. But again, also it's something that you can put on during or after a cook to give your food an additional piece of flavor.
Good. No, that's great terminology. I got out some of my favorite utensils here. These are inside, but also I'm a small person, and so I don't like real big items. And just curious, when you do things, I sort of like these plastic ones, but do you like the plastic ones more like this for doing some of that? Or do you go more with, I know some are made of natural ingredients. What are some of your tools that you use too when you're doing the rubbing and the, or the putting things on while you're actually barbecuing?
Yeah, so I have a similar tool that I use that's kind of silicone that you can use to base, but I also have like a mop. So it's if you're doing like a mop sauce where you're not necessarily spreading it on, but you're just kind of mopping it, it kind of looks like a small mop. So those are some of the things I use as I'm cooking.
Okay, good. Well, let's demo. Show us some rubbing, show us some saucing, show us some seasoning.
Yeah, so what I would like to show today is actually one of the first seasonings that I prepared, and I would give these things away as gifts. So it's something that, it's real simple, that you can do at home. And then also, like, if you have extra, you can give away to friends and family for, Christmas or what have you. So the first one I'll be demoing is kind of my all-purpose salt, and I'll be using it later in the cook that I'm doing as well. So this one is a super simple one, and some things that you kind of have to have when you're doing these. Obviously, the ingredients, you can go to any store and get them. So this one is going to be a glass mixing bowl, and it calls for 1 cup of coarse sea salt, and then one third cup of coarse black pepper. And again, this is a good all-purpose kind of seasoning that you can use for anything you're going to cook or season afterwards. And then the ingredient that kind of gives us a little bit extra that some people don't know about is called white pepper. So it's coarse
Okay.
white pepper. You can get that ground at the grocery store. So there's
Yep.
two tablespoons of that in this one.
Yeah, that's distinct. I use a fair amount of white pepper myself. It's very different from black pepper.
Yes, yeah, it's a different type of kind of heat flavor profile.
Yes.
Black pepper tends to be kind of afterwards. You get a little bit aftertaste of it. White pepper is more upfront, like you'll hit you a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
And then also this one calls for 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper.
Okay.
So
So it's going to have a
I
little bite
know,
to it and give it a little color too.
yeah, I'll give it a little color. And I know people are thinking, black pepper, white pepper, cayenne pepper. It's not as hot as you think because they all mesh together pretty well. And it gives it a nice flavor profile. So after you do that, just mix it up a little bit here. And again, this is one that you can use pretty much every day if you're looking to cook chicken, if you're looking to cook beef, vegetables. It goes good on broccoli, all that kind of stuff. And even,
Okay, well, vegetables too.
yeah.
And fish, you could use a fish. I don't eat meat since high school. I don't eat meat. I do eat fish and of course
Yeah.
vegetables, but not meat. So it could be used for fish also.
Yeah, anything you want to cook, throw in a grill or in the oven, you can use it for anything. And then again, if you're looking to package these, you can get your own kind of 6-ounce bottles, like on Amazon or at a local store. And what's cool about these is some of them come with a sealable protective packaging there that you can package it for people that keep it fresh for a while.
Well, you're giving away secrets here. We don't want people to do this. We want people to buy your Burn Pit barbecue sauce, right?
Yeah, well, this one we don't have packaged just yet, so I'm okay with people trying it out.
Yeah.
And again, I think if the more people can see that this is easy stuff to do, but if you don't want to do it, you can always go to our website and buy our stuff.
Good. And just we'll do a quick on the buying. So right now, can you give us just and we'll put this, of course, on the credits and so on, but you're right now, if I want to buy Burn Pit barbecue sauce or marinade, whatever, I have to go to a website?
Yeah, so we sell primarily on our website, burnpitbbq.com. We're also in a few small retailers here in southeastern Wisconsin. So if you live in Muskego, we're at the Muskego Feed and Seed. And if you live in the Milwaukee area, we're at Frontline Defender in Southridge Mall.
Wonderful. Are you looking for more distributors?
Yeah, so we have a few in Illinois that we work with small businesses down there. And then we're looking for some more locally that we can work with potentially to help carry our products.
Good. Well, we'll definitely promote that too. And I'll get back to Dan Newberry on that to look at some of the connections that WWBIC has for distribution, because we do have a lot of food and beverage businesses. Sometimes they start with restaurants and then they have sauces or products, what have you. And we've gotten a lot of products in Whole Foods. Outpost has been very good. Sendix has also been very good in the greater Milwaukee market. Kroger's and Roundy's, very interesting too. We've even had clients that have had some of their liquors sold at Costco.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So definitely we'll talk on that later.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep demonstrating.
Yeah. So that's the rub I want to use today. And the actual recipe that I have prepared is a fajita steak fajita skewers. So if you've ever had a steak fajita, there's a tortilla, there's steak, there's some green peppers, some onions. Well, I took that and I broke it down and I put it on some skewers and then I put it on my grill. It's real simple, real easy to do. And I'll kind of demonstrate a little bit more about how to do that right now, if that's okay.
Okay, go for it.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
I'm just going to get the ingredients here.
Okay. So, a lot of people, big barbecue people go like, hello, we can do this. But a lot of people still just need guidance on some of these things. There's some basic things to do. So this is great. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, and this is super simple to do as well. Even if you don't have a grill, I know a lot of people don't have grills. So you can put this on your stove. You can put it in your oven. It's super simple.
Okay.
Hand food. So the first thing I do is I have some wooden skewers soaking in water. So you want to make sure you do that so they don't burn when you put them on the grill. And then the meat I chose a beef sirloin steak. So I have a pound of beef sirloin, which is kind of a cut from the back of the cow. It's a nice flavorful cut. And then I have my tortillas cut up. I have some green peppers. I have some onions, and then I have some green onions cut up. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to put all that stuff on my skewer. and then that's what I use to grill.
Okay. Now, how long, what rub did you put on the meat then?
I haven't seasoned it yet. I'm going to use the
Okay.
seasoning that's we just prepared, the all-purpose salt seasoning.
Okay. And what would you say is rule of thumb? I mean, again, I really rarely cook meat, once in a blue moon chicken, but I'm pretty much a fish person, and I hear different things. I've also experimented myself. Sometimes people say you don't need to marinate fish, any longer than an hour, or season it any longer than an hour. Sometimes I do it longer, especially like a heavier, steaky kind of fish, like a tuna or a halibut. Give us some maybe parentheses on meat marinating or seasoning, hours of time, maybe fowl, or specifically chicken, poultry, and then fish. What would be some of your rule of thumbs there in terms of the amount of time marinating or seasoned in the refrigerator?
Yeah. So I'll start with kind of the heavier, meatier type of meats, the beefier type of meats like steaks and beef and stuff like that. The longer you marinate it, the more, or the season it beforehand, the more that flavor profile is going to sink into the meat. So like for this one, for a steak, I probably would season it maybe 15, 20 minutes before I would put it on. And then for like a beef roast or beef chuck or something like that, I'd probably maybe season it, even marinate it overnight to let that flavor really sink in. And the same with pork. Like pork ribs, I tend to season it maybe 12 to 24 hours before I actually put it on the smoker. Again, allowing those flavors to seep into the pork. And you get a richer flavor after you do it. And now for fish, as you mentioned, tuna, maybe a heavier tuna steak, you could probably season it, well in advance before you put it on. But typically when I do something like a salmon or something like that, it's usually kind of, maybe 15, 20 minutes beforehand before I do that.
Yeah, it just doesn't need that real long marinating. Yeah.
Some people marinate it overnight. They'll allow, like, if you're doing like maybe a bourbon glaze or something like that, they'll marinate it overnight and then they'll put it on the smoker the next day.
Okay, good. I got to tell one of my barbecue stories, because when I did eat meat as a little kid, and we were not a big monster meat family, but I remember the 4th of July and going, my mother's professor, and going over to one of her professor's friends, Dr. Summers, near the lake. And they would have the same menu every single 4th of July. And I was good with that same menu every single 4th of July, because the part that I loved was the barbecue chicken, because my parents were not big barbecue people. And I would go and I would have Pat and Marv's Summers barbecue chicken. I was a little kid and I was weird, but like all I ate and all I wanted was barbecue chicken. I didn't even want to fill up with potato chips. I just wanted that barbecue chicken. And I remember she had seasoned it. And I remember watching, again, as a little kid watching this. And then I remember last minute for that final piece was then the wet marinade that she put on to finish it. And that barbecue chicken, I mean, I don't think I'd go back, because I've been a vegetarian for so long, but that's like one, if I would go back, that would be a tempting meat piece for me to go back to, is that barbecue chicken.
Yeah, the great thing about barbecue chicken is, like, once you're doing it on the grill and you put the sauce on at the end, you can get a nice char, and it kind of caramelizes it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of bringing out the
skin's so good.
Yeah, it does. It's really good. And we're almost at that season. Barbecue season's coming up here. For most of us, it never ends. But for the kind of people that like to just do it during the winter and not get too cold, it's coming up here soon.
Yeah, and it's very interesting putting the tortillas on there. What a fun thing. Fajitas on a stick, really, but with the tortillas right on there. And I imagine, again, they're just going to get nicely charred and heated up, and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, and really, you're not cooking them for that long. So you're putting it on there maybe 7 minutes at the most, and you're turning it constantly. So the tortilla is getting a little bit charred, the vegetables are getting a little bit charred, and then the meat's getting cooked.
Good, nice. Yeah, I agree with you on grilling. We grill sometimes when there's 1.5 feet of snow, and we're still going to put that fish on the grill. And then I take my little container of martinis and I put it in the snow and shake it up. Wear my hat, wear my stuff, and say, we're doing it, even in the middle of the dead of winter in Wisconsin. Keep that grill going, keep that barbecue going. Why not, right?
Yep, and we here at our house, we grill and smoke meats all year long. So even during those times when it's snowing out, and unfortunately today it's snowing and here, we're always out there trying to get our grill on.
Yeah, for our viewing audience, we're taping this in April, and I think it's April 21st, and there is a half an inch of snow at my house here in Mequon, Wisconsin, where I'm holding virtually this cooking session, and so we do have to giggle a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Good, okay, so you put those together, they look beautiful, and again, you're gonna turn them like maybe 4 times, sort of on the 4 different sides, and all together about how long on the grill?
Yeah, so 5 to 7 minutes, so it's real quick. So you get your grill
Okay.
up to high heats, which means pretty much anything over 400. And you got to kind of stay there, make sure that nothing's burning, but it's a quick grilling session. So once you get them on the grill, you're just turning them every couple of minutes, and then whatever you prefer your steak to be done at is when you pull it off. So I prefer kind of a medium rare type of steak.
Nice.
So you're probably pulling it off when that the meat reaches about 130 or 135 degrees.
Okay, good. And we will have the recipe included in this session too, so don't worry. The other part is, of course, you could have this with the salad. Of course, you could have this maybe with some rice or what have you, but really it's a full meal because you got your tortilla, you got your vegetable, you have your meat there, you're good to go.
Yeah, it is. It's good for kids too. If you want to just give it to them on the go, or if you're messing around in the backyard and you're eating while you're kind of doing other stuff. I have 3 young boys, and just giving them this to either use their hands or pull it off themselves, it helps.
Yeah, and for those that don't like onions, make it without onions. For those that want double tortillas, do the double tortillas. I mean, that's always fun too with recipes. I like to say that one size fits one.
Yeah, you can put bell peppers. You can do whatever you like to do on these. So
Great.
I'll show the seasoning piece of these next.
Yeah.
I think I got 3 here done, ready to go. So the next piece is just for these skewers, before we put them on so they don't stick, is we want to just put a little bit of olive oil on them before we season them too. So I'll just use kind of my Tupperware here. I got some olive oil where I'll drizzle it on them.
Yeah, that's a great little tip right there, doing it on that Tupperware. I already got some ideas on that too. Otherwise, you're putting it down on a cookie sheet or something like that, and it's all sort of soaked up. This way you have that going.
Yeah, and I can use whatever drips down again.
Sure.
Because I actually have my silicone baster
Okay.
here. I use it here, and then I can get some of that maybe drip down.
I like these. And I have 3 of them. This one's the medium one. I got a small one, and then I got a long one, especially if something's really hot when I go outside and grill too.
Yeah, so all I'm doing is just basting it with some olive oil. That way, again, the rub will stick to it, and then also it won't stick to the grill grates.
Right. Good. Okay, good move on that. Yeah, so you got to do the olive oil first.
Yeah.
And better really the olive oil like you did, and sort of getting in there with the brush as opposed to spray on olive oil, or you could use spray on too.
I mean, you could use spray on. It's whatever your personal preference is. I prefer kind of the liquid here as opposed to the spray. But then when it comes to seasoning my skewers, I'm just kind of going above a little bit and dropping it down here. And again, my dish down there catches any extra, and then I can use it to turn as I'm doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, great technique here.
But yep, this seasoning is good to go. Assuming your grill's up to temperature, you can throw them right on the grill. You can let those maybe marinate for maybe 15 minutes and then throw them on the grill. But pretty much they're ready to go right now. And you throw them on a hot grill and they'll be done in about 7 minutes.
Excellent. Great. Greg, could you show us a couple close-ups of the barbecue seasoning too? I see you have some behind.
Yeah, I'll grab a few.
Yeah. And I appreciate too the veteran-owned business sign there too of Burn Pit Barbecue. It's beautiful.
Yeah, we have to make sure we put that out there. So
So
I grabbed a few of our all-natural seasonings.
Okay.
So these are our top sellers. We have Sweet Heat. This is kind of your traditional rub where you might put it on pork and beef and all that kind of stuff. Also great on chicken. We also have an all-purpose garlic seasoning that people really like. This one, you could use it for barbecue, or you could use it for eggs and vegetables and fish. It's very versatile. You could probably use it for every meal. My kids love it on pasta and also the popcorn. And then
No, that's great too. That's great. I'm going to get some of that garlic one, just again for some other things, like a little bit that feel and that flavor of seasoning on a pasta or finishing off a dish. I like that.
yeah, it's very versatile and probably our number one product. And then we have our sauces. This is probably our top selling sauce. It's a sweet honey sauce. Again, perfect for, either marinating chicken, or if you're putting chicken on the grill, you could top it off with some of that sauce and char it up a little bit. But all of our products are all natural. There's no preservatives, no additives. They're gluten-free. They're GMO-free. So these are things that we are proud to serve to our families as well.
Excellent. No, that's beautiful. That's really great to share that. Give us rough price points.
Yeah, for the 6-ounce seasonings, it's just about $8. And then for the 11-ounce bigger bottles, those are just under 10. And then our sauces sell for about $7, $8.
Wonderful, wonderful. And all manufactured in Wisconsin then, or you put them together?
Yep. So we work with a co-packer in a FDA approved facility that bottles everything here in the state of Wisconsin.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Okay, now before we go, we want words of wisdom from Greg. So again, think about you're talking to already a current business owner in the food and beverage industry or not. You're talking to somebody that has an idea or is that thinking about starting a business, or you're talking to someone that's maybe a little bit struggling and overwhelmed just with the world right now. Mm-hmm. Give us some from the gut, from the heart, from a new entrepreneur, a new business owner of less than a year. Give us some words of wisdom, some guiding advice as we close out the show.
Yeah, no, I would say the biggest piece of advice that I give is, like, I think you mentioned it earlier, is that there's no perfect time. So all the planning, all the preparation, unless you take action, so there's no perfect time. Try and jump in, whether that you're doing that on the side or whether you go all in kind of like I did. So, don't wait, just try it out. The biggest thing that I've learned is that nothing's going to be perfect. You're not going to get everything right the first time. The only way you're going to find that out is by actually doing it. So don't be afraid to fail, because in failure comes learning and improvement. So those would be just some of the few simple pieces that I give.
It's beautiful. That's great. Good. Well, thank you, Greg Fisher. Thank you for serving our country and being a veteran from the Marines. And thank you for starting Burn Pit Barbecue. And I'm definitely going to try some. And we really appreciate you being on WWBIC Cooking Up Business show today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Take care.